Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Dustin. Chat is up and running, so come talk to us. Bring us your questions, comments. We'll bring you in as part of the conversation. And I'll just get the business elements out of the way really quickly. So bring us your follows, downloads, hit that subscribe button, ratings, any and all of it. Any little thing that you can do, we greatly appreciate it. It goes a long way in getting our name out there amongst all the other Star Wars channels out there. I know that's what Dustin's doing right now. He's on his phone. He's hitting that subscribe. He's liking every single one of our videos on our channel. How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing great. I'm in a group chat where my buddies from Minnesota are trying to reorganize our flag football group, and I was just like, I can't make it, guys. 5 hours away. And then one guy posted, "Where's your commitment, you fucking bitch," or something like that. So I'd reply to it. So that's
How often are the
and I
games?
was liking and subscribing to our YouTube page.
Yes. How often are the games?
Once a week.
The weekend?
What's that?
Is it on the weekends?
Well, last we were playing on Thursday
Oh,
nights.
okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say when I was going to school up here in Minnesota for college, I would go back over the weekends over the summer to go play baseball because they played every Sunday morning. So I was going to say, Dustin, you can do it. You can do
Different
it.
when you had kids, you know?
Hey, bring the kids with. It's a trip every
Yeah, when you're in
weekend.
college, 4-hour drive, not too
No,
bad.
that's
Yeah, it's not. I'd love to. We had so much fun, and our team really gelled towards the end, where we were really competitive. And yeah, I mean, nothing beats the feeling of a game. You have 3 touchdowns, or you make a nice defensive
oh, for sure.
that. So, and man, it was great exercise. Every Friday morning, I felt like I got hit by a fucking bus. Which so that's how you know it was. And I was playing when I was playing, and I still would consider myself in shape. So it felt good, like I wasn't getting gassed out there or anything.
Yeah. Is my mic working?
Yeah,
Okay, good. It just told me it wasn't. So I had to plug it and plug it back in.
that's how you do it.
Right. Um, but no, I mean, obviously football is you know, hot topic right now because the season's right around the corner. So flag football, NFL, all of it, fantasy football. Dustin and I were just chit chatting about fantasy football before we started recording too. So fall's coming, man. It's a great time of the year. It's the best time of year.
We're
Hope you
making
got your.
chili this weekend.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know what your weather looks like. Ours, we're going to be in the 60s this whole weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool weekend, and then it's going to be a warm week.
So
So
one really cool thing that, not to get too off topic, but my parents are coming up this weekend, and I scheduled a charter like fishing trip with my
oh,
dad
fun. That's fun.
on Friday. And it sucks because it's supposed to be a little windy and it may or may not rain. It's going to be pretty chilly out in the morning, but I'm just so excited for it. The I'm assuming we're going to catch fish, so that's awesome. And then you get to keep them and they clean them for you, and so hopefully we'll eat some walleye, fresh caught walleye this weekend.
That'll be a lot of fun, man. What lake was it?
We're going to Winnebago.
Winnebago?
So my father-in-law lives off Winnebago.
Oh,
He's
okay.
pretty he's very conservative when it comes to like when he's gonna take his boat out there, which I understand. But then like if it's not perfect weather and we, like so if I was to plan this with my father-in-law and get my dad involved, it would
Yeah.
have to be perfect weather. And the way it's looking like it's going to be on Friday, it's not going to work. So I was just like, we'll just schedule a charter. These guys know like how to get out on the water, even if it's not perfect conditions.
Yeah.
And so again, plus they know the lake really well. They know where to go get the fish. And I don't know my ass from my elbow when it comes to Winnebago right now. So yeah,
All you need to know is how to throw a line and bring it in, right?
that is not true.
And drink a beer.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. but yeah, really excited. My parents come. They've been to the new house before. You're welcome to come join.
Oh, I'm sure we'll make our way down there.
Yeah, bring the dogs. And we got a fenced in backyard and everything.
Well, I don't know how much traveling Lincoln's going to be able to do these days.
Yeah, what's the update on him, by the way?
So he's still, I mean, so for the listeners that don't know, our golden retriever, he's 14 years old and he
That's
has
old
like,
Ari is, by the way.
yeah,
Just
that's right. They're both the same age. Um, and bigger dogs tend to have shorter life expectancies. So Lincoln's definitely up there in age, and he has a cyst or like a lump on his back. It's right like maybe I don't know, a couple inches from his back end, and
He's
come to
derriere.
his derriere. Come to find out, they believe it's cancer. The vet did some, tests just over the telescope, I think. I don't know. They took some samples and she looked at it through a scope, and from what she saw, she believes it's cancer, but he hasn't really been impacted by it yet. So like you couldn't tell that anything was wrong with him. He just, I mean, his back hips, he has arthritis, so he has a hard time there. So you can notice in that, but his energy and everything is still there. But the problem is the wound keeps opening and it scabs over, but because he's still kind of active, he'll roll on his back and he'll open up and then gets infected. And then he's got to go on meds, and then that heals up, and then he opens it
Yeah.
up again and it gets
And
infected.
yeah,
So it's a vicious cycle. And they don't
maybe
want
that's
you to
really
cover it.
maybe that's keeping the cancer at bay.
Right, exactly. It kills the cancer each time. But they don't want you to cover it because they need the air to help heal it or something of the sort. So it's right now I had to call the vet again because it's opened up again, and you can smell the wound. So, and Colleen's a nurse, so she can spot it in a hurry. Um, so we have to probably get him back on meds. He's got to probably get it shaved again. So, but he's doing all right. They gave him weeks to months, but again, I haven't seen it impact him yet. So, well, still holding on hope that he can last a while. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
How's it?
Lincoln holds a special place in my heart because obviously we lived together, and he was an awesome dog, and he got
And you
on
took
really
care of
well
him,
with Murray.
and you took care of him quite a bit afterwards too. So
Yeah,
your
I
home
mean,
was like a home away from home for him.
yeah, and I mean, he didn't have the bond that Rex and Ari had.
Oh, I don't think Ari wanted that bond.
Yeah, I don't think it was consensual.
But no, our dogs got along with each other all great. So that's why we would look after Dustin's dogs. Dustin would look after our dogs. It was a great thing that we had. The only problem is we lived like 50 minutes away, so it was always a trek just to head off
Yeah,
the
and then I
dogs.
had to go and move 4 hours away.
Yeah, too funny. But thanks for asking. No, he's doing all right, all things considered. So
I love
he,
Lincoln. I
he,
know.
he doesn't know any better right now, so he's just living life.
Yeah. I don't know who, I honestly don't know who will be more sad, you or me, or me, like when it comes to.
Well, trust me, I don't think Colleen is not ready for Lincoln to go because she's really concerned for me. Now, I don't really show my emotions as much, but she knows me well enough to know if it's eating at me or not. So, and it was when they told me it was cancer, that was not a good day. We'll just say that. But on to, you know, happier things and nicer things like Star Wars. I did bring up, I think it was on the last episode that we recorded. Wanted to give a little shout out to Pitch Meeting, it's called. It's this guy, he does these like spoof pitch meetings for different shows. Obviously, he's done some Star Wars ones. He's done other franchises. I've watched a few, and they're all so great. And he released one for the Acolyte, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch this. So I'm sure if you're listening to us right now, you're aware of our feelings of the show, not our favorite. And obviously that was a common feeling for a lot of fans because they already said they're not doing a season 2. So I know a lot of people are saying they canceled it, but they didn't cancel because in order to cancel something, it has to be planned. That it was never planned. They've just confirmed that they will not continue with the show. So that doesn't mean they can't pick it up down the road, but I don't think they'll actually do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. We're going to watch that pitch meeting. Dustin has not seen it.
I'm excited.
So I'm excited for him to see it.
I think you've seen the honest trailers for Acolyte, which is pretty good.
Yes, I've seen that as well. All right. Has my screen popped up? Are you seeing my screen at all?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I know why.
We are experiencing
technical difficulties because I have to allow people to be able to share. Who can share? All participants. There we go. All right, let's try this again. All right, now you can see my screen.
I can start.
Give me the thumbs up when you can hear it after I play it, okay?
Okay. Here we go.
So, you got some new Star Wars content for me? Yes, sir, I do. And in this one, we're going to be following OSHA. Amazing. Occupational safety is very important. Right, but also that's her name, and she's going to be falsely accused of a crime. What's the crime? Well, her sister May's going to have this big old fight against a Jedi named Indara, who I figure we could get Carrie-Anne Moss to play. Trinity? Oh boy, that'll be a big draw for the show. So what does she do? Die immediately. Okay, well, I'm still going to pretend like she's a main character when we promote the show. Sounds like a good idea. So since May and OSHA look exactly alike and everybody thinks May is dead, OSHA gets blamed. Was she nearby? Not even a little bit. She was off putting out space fires, but a bartender saw her, so. Space fires? Fires in space, that's right. So she gets arrested and put on a prisoner ship piloted by robots. They think she killed a Jedi, so they put her on an unmanned ship. That's what we're going with. So this ship ends up crashing, and then she reunites with her old Jedi Master Soul. Okay. And she explains to him, like, hey, I think my sister might be alive, but he's like, no, I watched her die. Yeah, sounds like there's some history between these two. Oh, there sure is, sir. That's the whole basis of the show, but to explain that, we're gonna have to go back 16 years. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, no, don't worry, I'll just tell you what happened. Okay, yeah, that's better for me. So OSHA and May were raised by a bunch of space witches, and May wants to become a space witch, but OSHA doesn't really wanna. There are career paths other than space witch, sure. So then they're having this big ceremony to become space witches, and they do this little chant. A chant? Yeah, they're like, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. So anyway, then Soul and some other Jedi show up, and they maybe want to train these kids to become Jedi because they have a high M count. M count? You mean midichlorians? Well, yes, but people made fun of that, so now I'm scared to say it out loud. Fair enough. So they do some tests on these girls, but then this Padawan really wants to go home, so he rushes back to the temple confrontationally. That's his motivation. He wants to leave ASAP. He doesn't like the food he's currently eating, so he risks and ruins everything. Understandable, I guess. So what happens? Well, the Mother Witch turns into a big scary smoke monster, so Soul kills her with a lightsaber. Close one. Actually, no, he shouldn't have, because she's like, I was gonna let OSHA go become a Jedi. She probably shouldn't have changed into a scary monster then. Yeah, well, if there's no miscommunication in this show, then there is no show. Oh, interesting storytelling technique. So then all the witches get together and possess this Wookiee Jedi, but when Trinity breaks that possession, all the witches die. Why? Because I need all the witches to die. That works. And also May is mad that OSHA didn't want to become a space witch, so she starts a little fire and locks all the doors. Sounds like an OSHA violation for sure. Yeah, and this place is made of stone, so the fire spreads quickly. What? And then Soul finds himself in the situation where each sister is standing on a collapsing platform, and his force lift isn't strong enough for both platforms, so he just saves OSHA. Why not force lift the girls instead of the platforms they're on? Hey, shut up. And so that crazy night sets the stage for this whole story. Wow, well, that's gonna be a pretty intense show intro for sure. Oh, no, what I just described is a mystery spread out over multiple episodes. Stretching things out is tight. Paradoxically, yes. So then what happens? Well, because of that night, 16 years later, May is killing the Jedi involved with that, and she's working with this guy, Kymir. Okay. And also there seems to be a Sith lurking around, but we don't know who he is. Is it Kymir? I mean, who else would it be? Yep, that's a good point. I'm still gonna drop it as a big reveal several episodes in, okay? Sure, sounds good. So this guy really wants May to kill a Jedi without using a weapon. How come? He thinks that would be a pretty cool little dark side challenge. That does sound pretty cool. Then one day he goes nuts and kills practically all the Jedi that Osha was rolling with. Oh my god. And in all that chaos, Osha and May switch places. Oh, they do? Yeah, and it looks like May is gonna stab Soul, but then she doesn't. Why not? Yeah, because she doesn't want it anymore, you know? Who's to say why characters do what they do? You. Can you imagine? That'd be nuts. Well, anyway, meanwhile, Osha is hanging out with Kymir the Sith. Hanging out? Yeah, she follows him around, he takes his clothes off, shows her his Sarlacc pit. Oh my god. So now that he murdered all her friends and flashed her his space junk, she's kind of into what he has to say about the dark side. Okay. But then she puts on his cool helmet and gets a vision of where May is. Oh, she does? Yeah, because the season's almost over and I need them to reunite, so she just has a vision of where to go next. Nice. So all the characters end up on that witchy planet where this whole thing started. It's like poetry, it rhymes. It's like poetry, it rhymes, that's right. So there's gonna be a big showdown between Kymir and Soul, and then also between May and Osha. Very exciting. And then Osha's gonna find out that Soul killed their mom, so she wants to kill him. Well, it's gonna be tough for her to kill an experienced Jedi Master. Actually, it's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, because now that she's angry, she can do dark side stuff, so she force chokes him to death. So he doesn't explain that her mom had turned into a scary smoke monster? No, because proper communication would get in the way of the story I'm trying to tell. Right, okay, keep going. So there's no Soul. Nope. And then also that guy died. What? So then what happens? Well, then Osha agrees to train with Kymir and let him show her the dark side. Oh, he flashes her again? No, like the dark side of the Force. Oh, okay. And then he wipes May's memory, which is a thing he can do. Why? So she can't remember. And then a green lady blames everything on Soul and we're done. So what do you think? It's okay. I just feel like it's missing something. It is, isn't it? What key ingredient we missing here? Oh, I got it. You know what it is? We gotta do that thing. You know that thing where we sprinkle in glimpses of established characters and selectively recycle content we own as if that were a way to sustain long-term engagement? Right, that's what it is. I'll toss a few cameos in at the end. Great, that'll keep the brand alive.
I mean,
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I you know, the thing is, this is the cool thing about the internet, right? You have all these people that can voice their opinions on things, and that pretty much nailed it in 6 minutes, right? But
In
you
a
know, I hate
satire
to
way.
I hate to speak ill of the dead. So, but hey, we got it. It was good for content creators. Oh God, I said it.
Is that the first time you've said that?
No, it's not the first time I've said it because I hate it, and I've told you that I hate that term. However, the show was like a gold mine for YouTubers and podcasters.
Well, the problem is now is like I mean, we've talked about toxicity before, and there is just so much ugly banter back and forth as a result of this show.
Here's the great thing: we don't need to participate in it, right? I mean, like if someone came in the chat and said, "You guys are effing morons and you're haters," because we did get a little bit of that. You say, "All right, hey, you know that's okay." I mean, we didn't like the show. I mean, I generally just didn't like the show. It was not very good for a lot of the reasons the guy just explained in that 6-minute video clip. I mean, the characters had, yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse because we've talked about this, but since we are talking about it, yeah, the characters just flipped their motivations on the dime. Miscommunication was the key to the storytelling, and it wasn't very good to begin with. So, yeah, I'm glad they decided to move on. I mean, again, like I know I mentioned this earlier, but like Alien Romulus, their budget was like $90 million. The movie looked phenomenal. The show was $180 million, and it didn't look good for most of it. I mean, there were some things that were really cool, like the fight choreography was really nicely done. But like the sets looked terrible. You know, Vernestra looked like she had, you know, been spray painted with Home Depot spray paint. She had one facial expression the entire show. And yeah, and that's all I got to say about that.
And I mean, I'll just say too, I mean, of course the fans have, some kind of sway, not sway, but are part of the reason why the show is not going to be renewed for a season 2. Not for all the claims that many people are making, because they're bigots or, anything like that. It's because they didn't show up to watch the show. Long and short of it is that's why it's not being renewed, because of what Dustin said, the cost that it is $180+ million, and the metrics they were seeing in terms of viewership and ratings. So when you have the show that is the most expensive Star Wars show and it has the least viewed season finale, it's not a smart business decision to bring that back in, especially when
it
you're
wasn't
already
a smart business decision to have the show
in the first place.
Like, if you had any sort of quality control and you read the script, just like the pitch meeting, like if there was a pitch meeting like that, like in a series, who is running that show that they're not?
Technically, it's Filoni.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have put him in the hot seat. I mean, it's like a coach. Like, you have your great seasons and everything, and then all of a sudden you're hitting a roadblock and you're not, finding success in the program. You're going to be put on the hot seat. So I think all of Filoni's previous success has allowed fans to give him a little bit of a leniency and be like, okay, we don't agree with this. So what happened there? So you better hit the mark on future things. So, I mean, with the movie coming out, him and Favreau probably have to hit it pretty hard.
So I think this dovetails into what a conversation I wanted to have about Outlaws.
Yeah.
I just read an article before the podcast that the sales have not been where they have projected them to be. Right. So there's some disappointment with the developer Ubisoft in that regard. And, I was kind of reading some of the comments, kind of the same thing. Oh, a female character and you didn't, like her haircut and all that. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that have that opinion, but to me, I was
small
never
minority though. Small minority.
Yeah, and the problem with the internet is the vocal minority is what kind of takes over.
Yep.
And I mean, the honest truth is if you don't have a negative opinion of something, a lot of times you won't comment. Right. So you don't get to see the people who have positive thoughts about it. Now, for me, I do want to play the game. You and I talked about this earlier. Like, so they are selling. They sell like an early release option where you have to pay like a really high amount, like
106.99 is what I saw.
Yeah, I think some of like the editions were like 160 something.
Yeah, some were higher.
And everything I've read, very positive reviews as far as like the atmosphere and the environment that you're put into and how awesome that feels. But what I see consistently throughout the reviews I've read is that the story is just kind of like meh, and I play the games for story. So that's really kind of, to me, it's a game like I'll wait for it. If hopefully it ever comes out on Game Pass, then yeah, I'll download it. But because the story's not great, I don't have an incentive to play right away because I'm not worried about like the story getting spoiled and then, the game's ruined for me. I can get that atmosphere whenever I want, right? I can wait a little bit to experience that. It's really expensive. Like you said, $60-$70 to get the game. So I'll wait till that price comes down. And then, yeah, I will play it. And I'm excited to play it from the things I've read about it that, that feeling you get from being in the atmosphere. And there are some cool things about your character, right? As far as some of the things you can get into.
And it is open world, so that is something that I'm definitely interested in. Now you've talked before about map sizes, and I don't know if you've heard anything new on that topic.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a ton of negativity towards that within the game. If you look at a lot of the reviews, they're in that like 7 range.
Yeah.
That's a good game, right? Like that's a perfectly good game. And it's a game I would want to play. It's just again, I can wait for it. Another thing too, man, like it's what 10, 14. I get so tired
Yeah.
now with 2 kids. Like I'm not up past 10:30. So that gives me like an hour to play the game per
Right.
night. Right. Maybe I'll stretch it to 11:30, 2 hours.
That's what the weekends are for, right? Weekend
Yeah,
evenings.
but they're not. They're not because you don't have weekends as a parent. Like,
No, I mean like weekend nights. You can stay up maybe a little bit longer so you can maybe get 30 minutes of playtime in. I've been still trying to
early because I have to get up early. Like,
yeah.
in the sense that like, I can still go to bed at 11 or midnight and wake up okay in the morning. It's just I don't have the desire to because I just get like so physically tired. I'm not
drained.
Stay up anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I've still been
like
trying.
get the ambulance out for me, but that's just
No, I get it, man. I get it.
like
I mean, I've been trying to finish Jedi Survivor for over a year now, I feel like, and just finding the time, especially in
you
this.
have no excuse because that's a phenomenal story, and
I know, and I have so much to learn about that story, and I'm only a fifth of the way through.
Yeah. So, but hey, excited for Skeleton Crew again. I think, because we know what it is and what we're going to see going into it, like that's helpful.
I just hope let's just not us, producers and writers and everything, refrain from talking about the show before it comes out. Let the viewers decide on their own. They will give their opinions. You're not going to sway them one way or another. If anything, you're just going to give people reasons to try to prove you wrong or something like that. So just
Now, I think that's tough in this market, and like the media market is what it is now, where like people are going on like long form discussion things like podcasts, right? YouTube channels, like that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of times where you saw Leslie Headland say things that were picked apart. She would go on podcasts or do a YouTube interview or something like that, and so
that just shows inexperience. I mean, I know she's experienced, but to me, that just shows inexperience because think about when you have professional athletes and what do people always complain about? Like, why do they always go to the key like sound bites and say the same things over and over again? It's because they're trying not to reveal anything, whether it's strategy or whatnot for the sport. And one way or another, you can kind of relate that to, show writers or something talking about a show before it comes out. Like, maybe just say high level stuff like, oh, it'll be interesting and I'll be curious to see how it's received or, instead of saying things like the things Headland said. I'm not going to specifically get into it because I don't want to say trigger items, but there's definitely things that were said that are going to like stand out in people's heads right away. Like, what did you say? So avoid that conversation. You can talk about the show, but just don't give too much. Leave a lot to the imagination. Star Wars fans are very imaginative. We love theory or conspiracies. We love theories. We love trying to predict shows. And at the same time, it was just enjoying the entertainment, but we'll take care of all the imagination ourselves. Wouldn't you agree? Imagination. I mean, I have to believe a lot of that 180 million went into marketing.
Man, if that's the case, that sucks because it didn't really do its job.
Well, but did you see how much was released before the show even came out? I mean, I saw more like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, any kind of social media ads, more for that show than anything I've seen.
Yeah, I'm sure, I couldn't tell you where a lot of that budget went because it was so high comparatively to other things that have come out. And so
What was the budget of Deadpool and Wolverine?
I don't know, that movie made like a cajillion dollars. So
I still have to see that movie too. I'm so excited for it.
I mean, I was guessing maybe the budget's 200 million or something like that.
So fairly close, a little more, but not too much more.
It's excellent. I highly recommend.
A lot of people are saying that it could turn the tide for Marvel.
I mean, Marvel was in a rut, but it's not like they were making hot garbage.
Right.
Now,
They weren't in the rut Star Wars is in.
the shows were pretty rough.
The movies were still pretty good. Some of them were like, I mean, the newest Doctor Strange wasn't that great, but
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
yeah, I thought it was okay, but I mean, a lot better than some of the shows, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so still not much in the world of Star Wars right now. We're still, like Dustin mentioned, waiting for Skeleton Crew to come out. We are excited about that. And we'll be bringing it to you as it comes out. Oh, Dustin, I also talked to a buddy of mine who might be interested in coming on and being like a fill-in for now, and depending on how he feels about it, might stay on or come on more often, because I know we've been having a hard time getting all four of us together. That might change once the summer's over, but just in the meantime, bring someone else in. He's a big Star Wars fan. He's actually more of a Trek fan though, so his expertise is more Star Trek. I feel like we all of us on the podcast, we're like all Star Wars fans, and then we have this other franchise that we really enjoy. Dustin being Alien, Greg being Harry Potter. Zach, I think, is just all Star Wars. I mean, he loves other stuff too, but I think that's his pinnacle franchise. And then me, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are my knowledge base. So Ben, he could potentially bring in some Trek knowledge. So
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, they released the first 3 episodes.
That's right.
That
Did you watch
this episode? I was like, hey, this is great.
Don't give it away. I haven't watched any of it yet.
I'm not going to give it away. I'm just
okay.
Can I at least say that the next 2 episodes were not that great?
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like that's pretty standard.
Like the first episode, I'm like, hey, let's do this. Yeah, they built some momentum. This is really, I'm enjoying this. And then the next 2 episodes, I'm like, what just happened?
Well, and that show is 8 episodes each season, right?
Yeah, we gotta stop doing these 8-episode seasons, guys. Like, they get like 10 episodes. Come on.
Well, at least theirs is what, 50 minutes to an hour of content?
Yeah, they're usually a little over an hour, but sometimes at the end of that hour, I'm like, man, I wish that was 45 minutes.
Yeah, you might as well make them into movies if you're just going to keep them that short and only 8 episodes. Do a movie. Probably bring in more money. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but I need to watch The Rings of Power. I still need to watch House of Dragons. Speaking of not having the time, that's where I feel it too, bro. I feel it too. Yeah. So do you have anything else that you kind of want to speak to, or?
Well, to clarify, it's not that I don't have time, right? I hate when people, I'm so busy. I don't have time. It's not that I don't have time. I do have the time. I could watch or play Outlaws right now.
You want to invest it in other things, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, at the end of the night, like, I'm so tired. I want to just go to bed. I don't have the motivation to play. Yeah. So
you want to invest it in sleep and rest.
Up a little bit later and play these games. I just, that's just, I cannot power through how tired I get.
Right. So, I hear you. I'm right there with you, bud. So yeah, I'll just speak to our social media handles really quick. So you can find us on Twitter at DetBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, our Facebook group and YouTube channels, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And you can find us on TikTok at DetBlockAA23. Bring us your subscription, follows, downloads, likes, ratings, reviews, all of it. We greatly appreciate every little thing that you can do. And as a reminder, once we hit 200 subs on our YouTube channel, we will have a little bit of a drawing, and then we will have subsequent drawings for prizes as well as our channel continues to grow. And
We were up to what, something in the 60s, I think, when I saw it.
76 right now.
Yeah.
We gained quite a bit over this past weekend, actually. Quite a bit in terms of our numbers. So
Well, it's like a momentum thing, I think.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I'm guilty of this. I watch YouTube videos with more subscribers and more views than, you know, smaller channels that don't.
Yeah.
For whatever reason in our head, we think, oh yeah, this person's got gravitas because they have a big subscriber base. Whether that's true or not, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's true, but that's just human nature, right? We like to follow the herd.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if someone has a higher sub count, YouTube is going to promote those more often because there's probably ads and everything that are associated with it that brings in revenue for those channels. So, I mean, really, you just got to find a way to break in. Once you break in and get that momentum going, then that's when things can happen.
I think we just got to do something really controversial, one way or the other, you know?
Well,
maybe,
I mean, that
maybe show off your Sarlacc pit.
I'll save that for someone else. But yeah, I mean, and as we've mentioned many times, especially early on, like the main reason we do this is just one, it's a way for us to connect with one another and talk Star Wars and enjoy it and talk about it. But I mean, we wouldn't hate having a following. So it just means that it's more people that we can have conversation with in our community. So that's just what we're looking for. But hey, we've had a few more join in. We've had people chat with us along with our live broadcasts and everything. So it's been fun.
I've enjoyed it. Again, like, I mean, this time I get to spend with you now that I live 4 or 5 hours away.
Right.
It's freaking awesome. So yeah, it's all good. It's all gravy, man.
It's all good in the hood. And TikTok, once you learn about TikTok, then not you, I'm just talking to the listeners. TikTok can help bring views.
I will not. I just cannot help it. I can't do it.
Well, I do it for marketing purposes. So
and it is a good marketing tool. I mean, people do use it well for that, and that's where we have seen by far the most engagement.
Yeah, it's great when you look at our graph of like viewership pre and post TikTok. It's absurd. Like over 10 times, maybe more like 50 times the viewership since
it would be what I would call, but for sure, a necessary evil.
Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, we have 400 plus up to like 1,600 people watching certain content. So I'll take it. I'll take it in a heartbeat. All right. With that, we'll kind of wrap this up. So thanks for listening in. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your evening, rest of your week. And we look forward to talking more Star Wars with everyone next time. Anything else? Final thoughts, Dustin? Final words? Go Pack Go.
Football season's here, so that's pretty cool. Go Packers. Hockey.
He's going to a game. You're going to a game in September, late September.
Yes, going to the Green Bay Packers Vikings game at Lambeau. So that is going to be a really cool experience because the games I have gone to are kind of like, you know, I mean, they're just like I went to the Denver game and the Chargers, right? Like those are fun games, but they're not rivalry games.
Right. That game you go to will be a good rivalry game to go. It'll be fun. So enjoy yourself, get your brews, go tailgating if you can, and have fun.
Oh, you know, we're definitely tailgating. There's like no question about that.
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll catch everyone later. Bye. Bye. Oh, and I forgot. It's been a while. And as always, may the force be with you.
And also with the Goudreau family. That was horrific.
Yes. Very. Ugh. Way to end it on a somber note there, Dustin. But I appreciate the uplift.
Yeah, you know, I want the force to be with that family. That's
fair.
Fucking horrific.
That's fair. Yeah, that is awful. May the force be with them. All right, we'll catch you later, Dustin.